Henry Cavill's training for his role as Superman didn't just transform his body, it also completely transformed his mindset around what he thought he was capable of achieving in life. And if you pay close attention to the process that got him there, you too can build the body of your dreams, become incredibly wealthy, and get whatever you want out of life. Henry Cavill was under a lot of pressure to prove himself as a worthy Superman back in the early 2010s when he landed the role. This is because this wasn't the first time Henry threw his hat in the ring for such an iconic role. He had auditioned for and nearly landed many highly sought after roles such as James Bond, another version of Superman in 2006, and the sparkly vampire Edward Cullen from Twilight. But maybe missing out on that last one was actually for the best. So when Zack Snyder finally gave Henry his big shot at portraying a superhero legend, Henry knew that this was one bag he couldn't afford to fumble, and he was going to need to go all in to become the most Superman he possibly could. And for the role, he was definitely going to have to become more of a man, in a very literal sense. When Henry Cavill started his physical prep for Man of Steel, he was hot off the heels of 2011's Immortals, where he was sporting a very lean athletic physique, one that looked great but didn't scream Superman, so he was going to need to bulk up. So Henry hopped on a high-calorie, high-protein diet that saw him eating up to 5,000 calories a day at the peak of his bulk. But these weren't just 5,000 calories of some bland-ass chicken, broccoli, and rice. While Henry is bulking up for a role, he allows himself some treats in the form of burgers, pizza, pasta, and other carb-heavy favorites. Now obviously if you're eating 5,000 calories a day without training your ass off, you're going to end up looking less like the Man of Steel and more like a man who needs to conceal his spare wheel. Unless maybe this guy is your pharmacist, of course. Thankfully, when it came to putting all these calories to use, Henry Cavill had celebrity personal trainer Mark Twight to help him out. Mark Twight was the owner of Jim Jones and was the man responsible for getting the cast of 300 into such amazing shape. Training with Mark Twight is no joke, because this guy isn't just a celebrity trainer. He spent years training MMA fighters, NFL players, and military personnel. Mark believes that appearance is a consequence of fitness. He believes that if you train your body to become stronger, more athletic, and overall more resilient, you'll build the body of your dreams along the way. Both Henry Cavill and Mark Twight knew that Henry's training was going to be brutal. So before Henry could start training with Mark in person, Mark had him complete 2 months of training on his own to get his fitness up to the level where it needed to be to train with Mark one-on-one. Getting Henry to build a solid foundation of fitness and strength before sending him into the pain cave for 4 straight months was a really good idea, and this is something that all of you should be doing in your own training. Whether you're new to training, returning from a break in your training, or simply about to take on a more intense training program, it's smart to give yourself 2 to 4 weeks of onboarding time before you start your new program in full. This is where you slowly increase the amount of training volume that you're doing and the intensity of that training. By doing this will give your body a chance to properly acclimate to the increased intensity and volume of this new training plan, along with any new types of movements you might be doing, thus reducing your risk of injury down the line. To do this type of onboarding, you can simply take the training program that you're planning on doing and slightly scaling it back. For example, if the plan you're performing has a bunch of sprints on foot, explosive weightlifting movements, and heavy barbell compound movements, you could prepare your body with 2 to 4 weeks of slower tempo jogging, lower impact explosive exercises like low box jumps, and lighter higher rep dumbbell movements. This will give you a solid foundation, which will allow you to make huge gains down the road injury-free, which is exactly what Henry Cavill did before he got into his super intense Superman training with Mark Twight. Henry Cavill has described his 4 months of training with Mark Twight as excruciating, but it helped him break through mental and physical boundaries that he didn't even know he had. There was a single moment in Henry's training that he said completely changed his whole mindset and made him truly feel worthy of being the Man of Steel. It was a cold Canadian morning on the Vancouver set of Man of Steel, a morning where most people would just want to stay in bed. But of course, Henry was grinding away in the gym. He was halfway up on his last rep of heavy front squats when his legs froze under the weight of the 305 pounds pushing down on his shoulders. He got pinned at the bottom of his squat, and his knees started to cave in. Mark Twight, who was watching closely, was getting ready for Henry to drop the bar, when something unexpected happened. Henry suddenly regained his position at the bottom of the squat, braced himself, and started pushing as hard as he could. This was the hardest Mark had seen Henry push in their whole time training together. Slowly but surely, Henry fought through the burning in his legs and stood the weight up. He racked the bar and just stood there, surprised with himself, feeling like he could take on anything. Henry says that the importance of this day in the gym cannot be understated, and if he had to pinpoint the exact moment where he became Superman, this was probably it. This is probably one of the most powerful things about making progress in the gym that is rarely talked about. Weight training in the gym isn't just about getting big muscles. It's about learning how to win in life. When you're pushing through the last rep and feeling the burn, you're not just building yourself up physically, you're building yourself up mentally. Just think about it. Every win in the gym, even the small ones, stack up. Every time you lift a little bit more, you run a little bit faster, or you improve your technique, you're not just getting stronger in your body, you're getting stronger in your mind. You're building confidence. And this confidence grows every time you push past what you thought you were capable of. As you stack up these small wins, you show yourself you're capable of making great progress if you only apply yourself. But it's not just about building confidence. Working out, pushing through, not giving up, that's discipline. Discipline that's built by sticking to a demanding training program day in and day out, even when you'd rather be doing anything else. Just like when Henry got up on that cold morning to crush those heavy front squats. And this discipline that's built through hard training isn't just valuable in the gym. It's a necessity if you want to excel in your studies, your career, in building a successful business, and even if you want to find a suitable partner. So don't just hit the gym to look good. Do it to learn how to be mentally strong, how to be confident, and how to be disciplined. Because these lessons that you learn while you're under the weight of the bar can be used anywhere in life. Just like Henry did when he became Superman, you too can use the gym to become the hero of your own story. Now, if you guys are liking the video and want me to do one covering Christian Bale's training for American Psycho, leave this video a like, subscribe, and comment Bale down below. Now let's dig into the specifics of Henry Cavill's unique training plan for Man of Steel. Henry trained with Mark Twight for up to 2.5 hours a day, 4 to 5 days a week for around 4 months. And like I said before, Mark Twight believes that a good-looking physique should come as a consequence of training for performance, and it shouldn't be the goal of your training in of itself. So given Mark's philosophy around training, it probably wouldn't come as a surprise that Mark is a huge believer in functional training, and more specifically, CrossFit. CrossFit is essentially what you get when you turn going to the gym into a sport. Usually, athletes train in the gym so they can improve their performance with their sport, but CrossFitters train in the gym so that they can get better at training in the gym. Now, jokes aside, if you're not familiar with CrossFit, CrossFit is a high-intensity sport/training method that combines elements of cardio, weightlifting, gymnastics, and functional movements designed to improve your overall strength, conditioning, and athletic performance. Now, I don't have an exact training program to share with you, and that's because Henry's training was constantly changing. Mark was constantly changing up Henry's programming, as is the norm in CrossFit. So they were hardly ever doing the same workout twice. But while the structure of the workouts might have varied wildly, there was a set of foundational movements that Mark would always come back to in Henry's training, like kettlebell swings, deadlifts, rowing on an erg, farmer's carries, and more. Pretty much all the classic functional training moves. Now, I'm going to tell you why CrossFit was a decent choice of training style for Henry Cavill's Superman physical prep, and why it's probably a terrible choice for most of you if your goal is to gain muscle and lose fat as quickly as possible. CrossFit is no joke. It's a sport in of itself, demanding skill, mobility, strength, balance, and conditioning. And while it might have worked well for Henry Cavill's Superman prep, it's not a one-size-fits-all solution for getting into shape, and here's why. First, let's look at Henry. The man's a lifelong athlete. He's got the mobility, the lifting technique, and the fitness foundation already nailed down. So when he dove into CrossFit, he was already miles ahead the average gym goer. But for most people, it's not that simple. Jumping into CrossFit without all that foundation requires a really long onboarding process. You've got to get your body ready, learn complex lifting techniques, and build a whole new level of fitness and mobility. And all that time that you're spending onboarding, you're not necessarily going to be making much progress towards transforming your body the way you want to. You're really just going to be getting ready to do so. And given the fact that CrossFit is essentially a sport, it comes with a much higher risk of injury. It's kind of like if you told me you wanted to get into shape, so I told you to start playing full contact football to lose a couple pounds. It might work, but it's probably not the simplest choice. Now, if you want to gain muscle and lose fat quickly, classic bodybuilding training might be the way to go. Simply because it's more simple. I can teach someone the basics in 2 to 4 weeks and get them on a training plan. Then boom, they start seeing results with a super low risk of injury. But with CrossFit, it's a different beast. You're going to spend months laying down the groundwork before you start seeing any results. And of course, the risk of injury is much higher. If you're after that Superman physique, think carefully about your approach. What worked for the Man of Steel might not be the best fit for you. If you want to improve your overall athleticism and don't mind investing a ton of time into your fitness, then CrossFit could be a great call. But if you want to cut the bullshit and just focus on what's going to transform your body as quickly as possible, then bodybuilding style training mixed with some simple cardio is the way to go. Consider your goal, your starting point, and choose the path that best suits you. And to help you along that path, I've created a full functional bodybuilding plan that I've created based on Henry Cavill's Man of Steel training, but with a little bit more of a bodybuilding twist to help you transform your body. You can download the program for free with the link in the description of this video, but keep in mind that this program is pretty advanced. So if you're newer to fitness or want to train at home with zero equipment needed, then check out my 17-week at-home Superhero Origins training program first, link also down below. Now go check out my video breaking down Ben Affleck's crazy transformation into Batman, and I'll see you there.